Okay, so let's finalize thing for our textures. And this might be the last class that will deal with Substance Painter. Do keep in mind, there will be a bit of back and forth in terms of like how your map actually looks inside your engine and how they look in Substance. So let's say something looks a bit different inside Marmoset or Unreal. You will have to come back to Substance in order to fix it. If your gloss map or roughness map is off, you'll have to come back to Substance to fix it. This kind of back and forth usually happens, but in the classes you might not see me do those back and forth. Instead, we will be plugging in the maps inside Marmoset and Unreal directly. Obviously, those maps have been through the back and forth which I was just talking about. Okay, so what are the maps that we need to make inside Substance to export it out in Marmoset? So I have a list right here, the maps that we are going to make right now. So that will be a roughness map for Marmoset toolbag. We will have a roughness zone map for Unreal Engine. You can also make a roughness map for Unreal Engine, but this is what cool kits do. So roughness zone map allows you to change your roughness inside Unreal Engine in real time and actually see how it's changing it. The same way how we can change the roughness inside Substance through a slider. So we are going to build that small system which will help us do that. Also, as I said, you can actually make a roughness map and export that in Unreal. It's up to you guys. Then we're going to make a detail weight map which will define where our tiled information will affect and where it won't. Next, we will make a transparency map for Marmoset toolbag which will define how thick or not thick the surface is for subsurface scattering. Alright, so let's start with the roughness map. So my roughness map usually stays a lot simpler than what I used to make. So I used to add a lot of information in my roughness map and I figured it's breaking my things up more in a bad way. So I stopped doing that. So I keep my roughness map simple now. So all I do is, let's make it roughness. So by default, the recommended roughness for Marmoset is 0.45, which also changes from project to project or how you like to see your faces. But this is what's recommended as a starting point. I would like to emphasize it again on the starting point. Use 0.45 as a starting point, don't commit to it. If it does not look good, change it. So let's say this is gonna be the default roughness for our Marmoset scene, and this is our roughness map. All right, so I'm gonna go in and make more roughness changes to our character. So if we exclude these scars, let's just turn these off so it's better for us. So let's deal with a flat face first. So we have our roughness of 0.45 by default. The places I like to break it up is the T-zone, which will be your forehead, the nose, the second is the lips, the bottom of the eyelids, your actual eyelids, I mean this area, the eyelid that is in contact with the eye, the jaw, which will be a bit specific to male who have a stubble because it becomes a bit more rougher, and the ears. Those are the zones I like to break it up. So we are just going to go in and do that. I'm adding one more roughness, add a black mask, add a paint. Let's add a color so I can see where I'm painting in. So I'm going to paint this T-zone. And let's disable the color now and only tweak the roughness to have a bit more oily look around the T-zone. So if we look at our roughness map, this is how it looks like right now. Let's break things up more. Alright, so this is what my roughness map looks like for most of the faces I do. Nothing complex, looks pretty badly done, which it is right now. I would have blurred few of these areas as well and a bit painted in, but as an example, this is what my roughness map looks like. They are just simple, just flat tones around the things, not much breakup. Many people like to add a lot of breakup, but I feel the breakups including your albedo, normal map, pores, and including that with the roughness makes it look a bit too noisy, and the skin kinda becomes those weird game-ish looking skin. So this is what I like to have. Some games keep things simple like this. Some games go in detail, which, as I mentioned, not something I like to look at. Some games, not games per se, but Epic has been trying to get rid of spec and gloss map and dealing skin as a single material without any variations. We will talk a bit about that in the last week. But if you look at their Meet Mike demo, they have gotten rid of gloss map completely, which I feel is a bit of a not good choice, because gloss map or a roughness map for face I feel is the most artistic one, where you can create it anyway and it does give a bit more life to your model instead of just having a flat value for your roughness. So something to keep in mind. But this is all we need for our roughness map. Again, there will be a bit of back and forth to find out the correct values, but I can just come in Substance, change these guys and export it out again and see if it works with Marmoset or not till I get something that looks good. So let's group these guys, and this will be roughness for Marmoset. So before we make the roughness zones for Unreal Engine, let's finish the things that we require in Marmoset. So the next thing will be detail weight map, which we will also need in Unreal Engine. It's gonna be a simple one. All we need is a complete white fill layer and a complete black fill layer. I'm gonna move to my base color, which is right here. Let's move into our main material. Add a black mask, add a paint, and we are going to paint in the eyelids. So the reason we are doing that is we are going to add tileables in our shader, which tiles everywhere in our model, but the eyelids, the lips, and the tip of the nose has some specific pores which you don't want much to be disturbed with a generic noise. So that's why we have this mask that will define where our detail map will go and where it won't. So that's all we need. Let's make sure our bottom one is completely white. Group these guys and they will be detail weight map. This will be used in both Marmoset and Unreal Engine. Let's create in our translucency map. So this is a pretty quick one. Let's add a black mask. Oh, hold on. First we're gonna make complete white. Hold on. I kind of forgot. It has been a long time I have used Marmoset. So we're gonna make the upper one white. I'm gonna add a fill and we're gonna use our thickness map that we have baked in. So I guess project will be a quicker way to find it. So this is our thickness map and I'm going to invert the sky, add a level, invert it, playing with my levels, to get something like this. So usually we like to keep the translucency map in the places where our skin is pretty thick or there's no bones directly underneath it. So that will be the tip of our nose, the lips, the eyelids, and the ears, because they don't have a bone directly underneath it, they have something else. So there's more light passing through them. But we have a bone right here. So to fix that, add a paint, make it multiply, and paint those parts out. Alright, so translucency map usually can be extracted by thickness map, and it works good in most of the cases. By most, I mean all the cases that I've done it. Okay, so that's our translucency map for marmoset. Okay, so let's create in the last map that we need. So this will be, so the last one, we want to create a RGBA map. So RGBA map, if you don't know. So I guess my Photoshop is not loading in. Let me just pause the video and start.